One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown, and welcome to One Question, where we highlight executive leaders in college athletics. Our guest today is Scott Noble. Scott is currently the Director of Athletics at Western New Mexico University. Greetings, Scott. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Ty.
Now, Scott, you're 7 months in on the job there at Western New Mexico. Your background is you coached football for a while, and overall you have roughly 30 years in college athletics. So you have a wealth of experience with student athletes, with being on campus and what it takes in terms of to have a successful program and successful leadership. And as you begin your first fall semester there at Western New Mexico, you've chosen to focus on 4 key aspects to define your leadership philosophy. And those are selflessness, discipline, work ethic, and kindness. Can you give us some insight on how you arrived at these values as your guiding principles?
Like you said, it's through many years working with many different people and taking different pieces that worked for me, that helped me mature and grow and understand exactly what leadership is. And one thing that I was taught is to build a department, you must have 4 cornerstones, and everything that you build is related to those cornerstones. And you've mentioned those with selflessness, discipline, work ethic, and kindness. And what we do is we sit down and we write these words out, and I hand out note cards to all of our coaches and our administrative staff, and I ask them to write down the words that come to mind when I say those. For me, I was a visual learner. I love to see it. If I can see it, if I can touch it, then I can believe in it. And for me, I had to turn these into tangibles. And selflessness is very easy to think negative about selflessness. It's easy to think negative about discipline. You know, selflessness is, oh my gosh, I've got to give up some time, and discipline is based on consequence because I've made a poor decision, and work ethic is, oh my gosh, I've got to put in a lot of time and keep busy. And what we try to do is look at the positive side of everything that we do. And selflessness is a skill that has to be taught. And in fact, all of these are skills that have to be taught. And when we talk about selflessness, we're talking about a gift that you have that you can share with people. And in athletics, when we recruit student athletes, they all have a certain talent. And to be able to bring those talents together and share those talents with each other is what makes us great. And for us as administrators, our talents might be different. They have changed over time, and talents do change over time. And for us as administrators, our talents are to share our experiences. And that's where we begin. We want to be servants to our student athletes. We want to be servants to our campus, who is our staff and our faculty. And we want to be selfless. We want to help others. Discipline is inner strength. It's a great positive. It's an inner strength. It's the ability to do the right thing all the time. And it's very difficult. It's not easy. It's very difficult. But to understand that when we visit with our athletes, that there are decisions that will be made that will have consequences. But if we have the strength, the inner discipline to really focus on our program, focus on your team, those decisions are going to be much easier to make. Work ethic, it's about production. Work ethic is not about time. It's about production. You know, as you know, in the world of athletics, our 40-hour week kicks off on Wednesday, and there is a lot of time that's involved. But we have to learn to be productive, and we have to understand we have to improve our programs daily. And one of the items that we ask our coaches to do in terms of work ethic is to be able to write down what they did to improve their program, whether it's through the development, marketing, student services, operations. There's got to be something in there that you have done to help your program, improve your program. And then, of course, we want to have a positive influence on one of our student athletes before we leave the day, which is pretty easy for those in-season coaches because they see their athletes every day. For those who are out of season, it could become a little bit more difficult. And of course, in the summers, keeping track of your student athletes is critical and very important to us. So we ask them to reach out and have meaningful conversations with those young men and women before they leave the day. And finally, kindness. Kindness makes the world go round. And this one is one that I struggled with as a coach. It's something that I have learned over time. Being kind to people, wanting to help people, greet people goes a long way in today's world. And it's truly what makes the world go round is relationships with people. Men and women of character and kindness are great successes, and we really try to focus on getting on campus, visiting with faculty, greeting people, smiling at people, having conversations with students, with staff outside our department to be able to help tie our campus, our athletic program, and our community all together.
Well, I'm interested in the process of implementation. You mentioned that at the beginning of the year, you sit down with the coaches and the staff and have everybody write down what comes to mind with each one of these different principles. And then is there a process of reconciling that with what you as a leader, with what you define for each one of these principles, and then everybody getting on the same page so people won't have differing definitions, right? You want everybody operating from the same book. How do you get everybody on the same page once they come up with what they think of when they hear these words, and then you define what you mean by these words?
Sure. We sit down with pencil and paper and we ask them, what does this mean to you? Tell me an experience that you had with discipline where your inner strength, your discipline to make the right decision may not have been the popular decision, but tell us how it influenced and helped you either as an individual, as a coach, or as a leader of a program. And we have those discussions, and those go a long way. To be able to measure, are we doing the right things? Are we heading in the right direction? Are we treating all four equally? That's the other thing, is all of a sudden we spend a lot of time on kindness and we forget about work ethic, or we forget about selflessness. We have to make a concentrated effort to touch each four of those cornerstones daily. And I can tell you, for us, the overarching indicator of success is increased support and awareness with increased giving, attendance, increased ticket sales, alumni engagement and opportunities, more community service opportunities. And of course, student involvement. That's our first overarching indicator. And then, of course, the other indicators of some success would be through our student athletes with higher retention rates, improved team GPA, staying on time and on track to graduate, and of course the competitive success that will come along with that as well. And then the third thing that we look for to ensure that we're moving in the right direction are our campus indicators. And these are probably my favorite, Ty. They really are. They are simple, short little emails, notes, phone calls that I get from staff and faculty on a daily basis that say that they see some change. And that is so satisfying, and I immediately share those, of course, with our staff. But the campus indicators are the ones that we really like to see and share with each other.
Right, and that's interesting. And that answers the question I was going to ask about how you measure the effectiveness of these guiding principles. I do have Another question here. It sounds like you said you may meet with people after you meet as a group. There may be some one-on-ones in terms of how people define these guiding principles and how you define them. And then you come to an agreement on what, as an organization, what we mean by them. In your evaluation, whether it be continual throughout the semester, at the end of the semester, at the end of the academic year, in your ongoing evaluations you have with your individual staffers, do you look at these four and say, okay, here's what I've seen coming from your area in terms of selflessness, in terms of discipline, in terms of work ethic and kindness? How do you do it on an individual level? Because you just mentioned the broad scope in terms of measuring the effectiveness. How do you measure these on an individual level?
Yeah, sure. As coaches and leaders of their programs, to be able to sit down with each of them, first of all, define what each of the four cornerstones means to them, make sure that we are in agreement of those, and then it is to set out and take notes of examples that have come across their desk during the day. For example, we had a phone call come into the office asking it was from a church, and asking if someone could come pick up an older lady here on campus. Her car would not start, and she had called her church to help come over and get a ride, and the church then called us. And we immediately, there were two of us that dropped everything and found her and got her car started for her and got her on her way. And it's those little things that really speak volumes to me for our community to turn to us for help. That means a lot, and we get a lot of that. We get requests weekly from, moving offices to community clothes drives, to cleanups, just helping people move furniture in their house, and we really like that. And so we ask our coaches to just jot down those things. What are some of the decisions we did today? And then in our weekly meetings that we have with our staff, we share those. And then everything comes out. So over the course, now you have to understand that this is very new. When I came on in February, I had to watch the program, watch how it functions, and then see if we could improve on some of the things. And so we just implemented this in July. We are now in its second week of impact with our student athletes, and I really couldn't be happier in its progress right now, Ty.
Right. Well, Scott, it sounds like it's a wonderful program. Those guiding principles are definitely something that, we all want to have, especially in terms of leadership and in terms of helping people and helping ourselves and helping an organization as a whole within the community and within that specific organization. I think there's a lot here that people can listen to as they decide how they want to run their program and develop their leadership philosophy. I really appreciate you joining us here on One Question.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That was Scott Noble. He's the Director of Athletics at Western New Mexico University. He's been there not even for a year now, and he's implementing his new leadership philosophy based on the four guiding principles of selflessness, discipline, work ethic, and kindness. And of course, this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.